Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are getting into a Juneteenth makeup chit chat video. So Juneteenth is next Saturday, so I had to go ahead and get this done before it popped up. Today we are using the Beaute palette along with a color out of Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and we are using the Huda Beauty, I don't think you can see that, Huda Beauty gold side to create this look here. Let me look down because I have my camera way up. Why, I don't know. So we are going to go ahead and jump in to using the Stuck on You eyeshadow primer. I have grown to like this all of a sudden. I don't know, I'm always dropping something, y'all know the deal. If I ain't dropping it, then the makeup look might not come out good. So anywho's, I am just applying that onto the lid per usual. So we are going to do a little chit chat. I feel like chit chats and makeup videos go a little bit better because you know what, y'all, YouTube is definitely changing. I honestly, to be really honest, I really feel like to do YouTube, you have to just like legitly enjoy the content that you're putting up, because when I tell you that YouTube is hard, it is hard. Like, this is not just something that you can just wake up with a bunch of subscribers. Like, when I tell you my subscribers, I get one, maybe new one a month. Like, I'm now at 33. Appreciate all of you 33 people. And one day we're going to look back and be like, wow, we came a whole lot. And so honestly, I'm here for the journey. And so I just say that if you can't tolerate the journey or the sometimes you can get mad views and sometimes you only get 2 and you like, what is happening? At the end of the day, I like vlogs, but y'all know I love makeup, and so I'm still going to put makeup out here. So yeah, anyways, we are using, I have no idea what brush this is, but this brush right here, and we're going to tap into, I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to make sure you take a picture so that you can put it on the screen. I'm going to use Theme Park, and I'm just going to place that on the lid. So, I was listening to a podcast, I believe it was yesterday, and they were kind of going over, they just so happened to be talking about Paige from Married at First Sight and kind of the things that she was going through. And this is the, I'll put it on the screen what podcast I was listening to, the name of it. But they had said some interesting things. So I don't know if you guys were watching. Those of you who don't watch Married at First Sight, pretty much Paige was ran through the water and back. And a lot of times she would say, she would make it seem as though God was allowing her, like this was kind of like a test, and that she had to go through this because this was just, it was God's plan for her to be married. And so one of the things that they said on this podcast is that a lot of women, and by the way, this is no shade. If you take it as shade, I do apologize. But I kind of agreed with what they were saying. Is that a lot of women view marriage as like almost like getting a degree. Like, you know, you go off to college, you get your degree, you get your your bachelor's degree. Some people go back to get doctorates, and so they view marriage as kind of just like another award, as if they're like they have to, like they're entitled to get married. Now, granted, do I feel like everyone should get married? Yes. Is marriage for everyone? No. And so some people, and I kind of agreed with that some people really go into relationships as if they just have to be married. Like, they got to be married. It doesn't matter, and, you know, it is what it is. And so a lot of people don't realize exactly, like, a lot of people are in love with the idea of marriage. And being honest, For a little bit, I was, to be honest. Not before I got married. There was a time that I felt like, we've been together for a while. I done had your baby. Like, I can't believe you ain't asked me to marry you yet. Like, how dare you? And then a lot of times you end up seeing, like, all your friends around, everyone around you is getting married, and you just like, oh my God, how come not me? Like, all of that, and then you just kind of feel away. And so sometimes men are like almost pressured into marrying people, or because their person is feeling like they got to. And so honestly, I strongly feel like I didn't get married until I got married, because our relationship was not in a place that could handle marriage. Because a lot of people, they dream of, they look people look at it as they're looking about the big ring. They're looking at the being the bride, the dress, all the attention, just being able to say my husband type thing. And all that is wonderful. Don't get me wrong. Anytime I can say my husband, I am. Like, I'm just saying. But, or they're looking at like, I can't really, say a whole lot because it's not my place, because I'm only the girlfriend. But as soon as I become the wife, baby, let me just let you know. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're looking at those type of things. And a lot of people are not realizing that marriage is work. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter if you've known the person for 20 years, 2 seconds. It's constant getting to know your partner all the time, because people change. They get older. They like different things. I'm going into camping using the lavish, well, I don't brush this, put names on things, this flat lavish brush. Okay, anyways, do I want to do that differently? I don't know. Anyways, let's go. So people are always changing. If you think about yourself, you notice that there are things that you used to like, things you used to be interested in, and now it doesn't excite you anymore. And so you're changing. And so if you're changing, your partner is going to change too. And every time there's a change, it's almost like you got to be like, oh shoot. It's almost like a new lesson in a course, in a class. It's something else you have to learn, something else you have to adjust to. And let's not, and them just changing normally, but let's not add in like life-changing things like a baby, or a job change, a career change, or a panorama, death in the family, anything that could be life-changing. I feel like I never put this straight the same way. Me and halo eyes, this is the reason why I'm doing it, because I feel like my halo eyes are never straight. One will be going one direction and one will be going another. But guess what? I don't care, because we're here. Anyways, so like they're just always changing all the time. Like always changing. You have to continue to learn them. Like it's a never ending learning process. And so that's where a lot of the work comes in, because you're under the impression that you know this person. And so you like, this gonna be easy sailing. I've been with this person for X amount of years. To be sure, what else is there to learn? A lot. And on top of that, every relationship is going to have ups and downs. It's not always going to be the honeymoon stage all the time. And I learned that when I'm very passionate about being around people who exhibit marriage, as far as like for the long haul. Like in church, like I was a part of a Bible study for married people, and I just love hearing, people who have been married for 10 plus years, and how they're still like keeping things rolling even after being married for so long. And so one thing I learned is that your marriage goes through different seasons. Like, you go through the honeymoon phase where this is totally not the same. So not the same. And I don't know how to go back and make the other one like this one. I'm not sure. Anywho's, so like, you go through different stages. You go through the honeymoon stage where everything is good, and then you go through things where you just is fighting the storm. You like, dear God, we gonna be alright? And then sometimes where it just gets stale. And then, like, pretty much the cycle, it doesn't matter how long you stay. Sometimes you're in certain phases longer than the other. And then sometimes it's just, it's a short few. And so it's always going to be a cycle. And so you have to look at that. And that's why you need to be careful, before jumping so quickly into a marriage. Because if the first time things aren't going good, your thought process is this really, should we really be getting married? I don't know. Then you're not ready. I'm just saying. Because you're going to fight. You're going to have disagreements. But it's not necessarily about the disagreement. It's almost more like, how do you communicate the disagreement? How do you bounce back from the disagreement? Because you're going to have the disagreement. Because you're two imperfect people who are choosing to be together. And so everybody has their own ways of doing things, and you're putting that together. When you put that together, that's where there's lots of disagreements. And it's okay to disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. It's just, you have to realize that that's just a part of it. And so sometimes people are so caught up on the wedding and the dress and the ring and all of that you're not realizing that this is just a part of marriage. Like, there's an ugly part. There's a not so beautiful part about it. And so if you don't realize that, then I feel like you're already starting out at a disadvantage, because you were in love with the idea of it. Because it is work, and it can be tiring sometimes. So I guess I'm going to do my eyeshadow. I guess I'm going to do my face up here with y'all, because we having a deep conversation. And I just can't stop and come back with my face on, because that would make sense. So, and this is the only video, I guess it's the only video I'm filming today. Going in with my Elemis Superfood Glowing Priming Moisturizer. And I'm going to use, nope, that's the foundation brush. I'm going to use something. I guess my hand, because I don't feel like trying to figure out where it is. So, yeah. Another thing is that being married, I think being married, and some people, I feel the same way about parenting too, but that's a whole, we might not get into that today. That might be a part 2. But being a wife, and even a wife and a parent together as one, both of those are selfless acts. A lot of times, because being a wife is something I had to learn, and I think it was more hard, and we'll get into this more when I talk about parenting. It was harder because I already had a child, that you have to remember that your spouse is first, is the center of everything. And so there are times that you have to realize, there isn't times, what am I saying? You have to put them first. And so putting them first, meaning that they should always get the very best version of you. Like, you can't be giving them leftover you. But it's like, okay, so boom, how do I do that if I got the baby to take care of, I gotta work, I got all this to take care of? Like, how am I supposed to do that? And so I strongly feel that if everybody is doing their job the way they're supposed to, if you have picked the right spouse, then your spouse, when you're giving him your all, your spouse should be feeding into you. And so when he's feeding into you, you're giving him everything, him or her, whatever you decide. You're giving your spouse all of you. He's feeding back into you. And so that's how you're able to have more than enough to do what you need to do. because he shouldn't be taking and not feeding back. A lot of people don't realize that in marriage, that you're supposed to continue to pour into your spouse, because your spouse is giving everything they have to love and take care of you. You know, not take care as like you ain't got nothing, but you know what I'm saying, like make sure like you're good, like you're happy, because that's what it means. Like the Bible says that. Do I know the verse? No, but I did learn it in Bible study. I'm just saying. So that is now your job, to feed into him, into your spouse. I'm just gonna say spouse, because you know everybody's spouse means something different. To feed into your spouse, and he is also supposed to feed into you. And so if he's feeding into you, then you're going to have more. You're going to have more to give, and that's how you're going to be able to take care of yourself, your child, and all the other things that you have to do in life. But if you don't know what it really means to be a spouse, then you won't know to do that, which is why the spouse is burnt out. Just saying. So that's why I say that being a spouse is a selfless thing. You have to always be thinking about them and what they need and all of that. And so if you have always only had to think about yourself, sometimes you have to like do a reality check and be like, oh, sorry y'all, I'm just getting it in. To do my contour. And this is the new way that I do my foundation. I would do a detailed thing. I'm just doing it now, so there will be a video coming up with this. This is the Tarte Shape concealer. So, yeah. If you don't... Oh, I don't need to blend. I forgot this is the moisturizer tint. If you don't know that this is what your job as a spouse is, that it's not just about saying, hey, I'm a wife, I'm a husband, I'm a this, then you won't remember to put them first, for one, and to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do to feed into them, which is why everybody looking around here looking foolish and burnt out and tired. And so sometimes, although you may really want to be married, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be married, it actually is a very beautiful thing. It's very beautiful to be married to someone who knows you, who understands you, who could sometimes know what it is that you need without you articulating it. To feel like you are marrying your best friend, but your best friend also needs you to put them first. Your best friend also needs you to feed into them so that they can feed into you, so that everybody can get what they need in this marriage and be able to translate into the children, if you have children. Like I said, I'm not going to go too far into parenting because that's another conversation for another day. Did this stop? Okay. I don't know. So, yeah. So, I just really feel like some of the battle is finding your partner and finding someone who is meant to be there, but also making sure that you are not just trying to jump into this just because you want a ring and you want to just say, I'm married, I'm a wife, I'm a this, I'm a that. Because sometimes just because you think you know what it means to be a wife, plot twist, you don't. It's not as fairy tale as you think. And just because you know you're the bomb.com. Why does that burn a little bit? Just because you were the bomb.com, and a lot, you're excelling at work, you're the bomb at work, you're always doing mad good at work, you were a scholar in school and all of that. Sometimes just because you were the bomb at that does not mean that you're going to also be the bomb as a wife if you don't know what it really means to be one. If you haven't actually took the time to, number one, know your spouse's love language. Know what it truly means to be a spouse and feed into them, because it's not as easy as it looks all the time. There's a lot of people on social media that really makes it look like that it is just a walk in the park all the time, and it's not. And so sometimes when you go in to the marriage with false pretenses, like You know, if we argue, we're not supposed to ever argue. It's going to always be great all the time. And if we argue, then that must mean that we're not supposed to be together. And that's not the case. You know, being in marriage, sometimes you go through things that you may have never thought you would have put up with if you was a single person. And rightfully so. You know, you shouldn't be putting up with a whole lot of foolishness, and this ain't even your forever person. In the same aspect, I don't condone putting up with someone, you know, like insulting your character, making you feel less than, any of that. Excuse me, none of that. I don't condone that by any means. But what I am saying is that, you know, you're going to go through some things, and so just because you go through something doesn't mean that it's not going to work, because it's not going to always be easy. And so sometimes you can't just go into marriage just feeling like I should be married because I deserve it. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves to have someone to spend the rest of their life with. But does that necessarily mean just because you deserve it that you're ready? I don't think so, because it's a whole different ball game. And even though I have been with my husband for 8 years now, I thought I knew everything there was to know. Plot twist, I don't. And so that's why you have to be, you just got to make sure you have yourself in check as well, because if you don't know what it really means to be married and you're just here for the idea because everybody else is doing it, then you're already in here for the wrong situation. And I said what I said, because when everyone leaves, all the presents have been opened, and the wedding dress is in the back of the closet, and the honeymoon is over, this is the person you're here with. And that was a Shaina B Miami contour brush. And if you don't know how to do life with this person that you have chose with, like, I'm not saying you're not, because you nobody really knows how to be a wife. We see what it looks like on TV, we see what our parents have done, but nobody really knows what it means to be one. And so that's why you have to do the work, because everybody's marriage is different. Everybody requires a different level of thing. And so you just really just make sure you're ready. It's not, it shouldn't be just because I deserve to be a wife, or because I just want the ring, or just because you know, everybody else around me is married, or because, you know, I'm the bomb, I'm the best, whatever, whatever you work at, or I was very responsible in college, I'm pretty sure I can do this. It can't be that hard, because it actually is a little bit more difficult than you think. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And that is today's chit chat with me. But I just really thought that was really interesting, because I do feel like this season of Married at First Sight was a prime example. Why does that always leave? Was a prime example of people. A lot of those people on there felt like they were entitled, or I'm ready to be married because I've been single for like 10 years. Okay, you may have been, but does that mean you're ready to do what it takes? It's a lot of compromising. It's a lot of compromising. A lot of compromising. A lot of compromising. A lot of compromising. A lot of making sure that you're not tearing your spouse down. All of that. Can you do that? And if not, maybe you need to wait. Don't rush into it. Because when it's right, and it'll work. And you're going to go through your journeys. You're going to go through your times where you're just like, woo, child, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it'll still be fine. That's Chit Chat with me. I'm gonna go finish the rest of my face off and then come back and take some pictures. And that's the end of this makeup look.